Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nikhil from Zerodha. We'll be continuing the ongoing series on Smallcase today. We done one a couple of weeks back where Anugrah had explained the idea of Smallcase, what the whole
Continuing
thematic
the ongoing
investment
series
is
on
about.
Smallcase
So
today,
today
we've
we'll be
done
talking about
one a couple.
finding the right Smallcase for you. So I've got Anugrah with me on the call, and he will be taking you through how to select the small case that is best for you. Right. So over to you, Anugrah.
Very good afternoon, everyone. Thanks a lot, Nikhil. And thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us today. As Nikhil mentioned, there were a couple of points that we covered in the last session. And before we move forward, I think it'll be beneficial for everybody if we can just quickly recall what we covered in the last session. So there were four basic questions that we answered in the last session. The first one was, what is a small case platform? So we told that Smallcase is a platform which is designed for retail investors, and it combines best of two investment approaches, that is thematic and portfolio. And we explained it through a few examples. The second question that we tried to answer was where one should invest the hard-earned money for long-term. And to give you an answer, we presented a comparative analysis of different asset classes where an Indian retail investor can invest, and prove that if you look at last 2 decades, equity has been the best performing asset class, irrespective of the time period or the year you chose to invest in. The third question that we answered was how small case is better than other equity investment options. Here we compared small case with all the other equity investment options like single stock investments, ETF investment, mutual fund investments, and at the end we proved that how small case can actually help you make more than 50% compared to what you will gain if you invest in mutual funds for a very long horizon. The last question that we answered was, how is a small case built? We explained the intelligence behind creating a small case, how we define a universe, the research process, different models used to screen stocks, and how we rebalance all the small cases on a quarterly basis. So in today's session, we'll be taking it forward from there, and we would be covering following 3 points. The first point that we would be covering today is understanding individual small cases. That is, what are the different parameters which are associated with a small case, which can help you better understand or analyze a particular small case for investment. The second point that we would be covering is what are the different kinds of small cases, the different types which we have defined for small cases. And the last and most important point for today's session would be how to find or select a small case which is suitable for you. So now let's directly jump into these points and start with the first point of understanding individual small cases. And as always, let's try to do it with an example. So here you can see bringing the big small case. At the top, you can see the name. And just below the name, you can see the brief overview of a small case. So in this case, it is companies catering to India's emerging luxury market. So this overview quickly helps you understand what you can expect or find inside the small case. That is, you will find companies which are catering to the growing luxury market in India right now. Now, if you want to look at the detailed rationale behind a small case, you can click read rationale here, and you can go through a slightly detailed rationale of why this small case can actually work. So in this case, it explains that disposable incomes are rising, there is increased brand awareness, the purchasing power is increasing, and also highlights different kinds of sectors or segments which could actually benefit from this small case. Now, if you want to go in more details and find out exactly how this can pan out in future, you can click on read more about this small case here. This will redirect you to our learning website, which is a small talk. And here you can find out a very detailed rationale behind a small case. So in this case, the questions that we have tried to answer is that what are luxury goods? What is the current market size? What are the different drivers which is like working for the benefit of this particular theme? We have also given you the segmentation, differentiations, and all these kind of different analysis, which can actually help you make a more informed decision if you decide to invest into this small case. So let's move back to the example that we were discussing, which is bringing the bling. So first, on the top, you can find the name. Just below the name, you can find a brief overview. You can click on the read rationale button to check out the detailed rationale. If you want to know in more detail about any small case, then you can click here to go to the learning website that we have built for you. If you want to know how the small case is built, which we covered in the last session also, you can click how is this small case built, and which will explain you the whole process which we covered in the last session. That is how we define the universe, the research that goes behind creating or deciding a small case, different types of models that we use, the weighing schemes, how do we decide the weighing schemes, and a little bit about the quarterly rebalance that we do. Now let's understand different fields which are there on the right side. The first one is the index value. So index value helps you understand the returns generated by a small case since its inception. So if you hover on the question mark here, you can see that this small case has moved up 113.57% since March 2014. So March 2014 is basically the inception month of this small case, and index value tells you the returns that the small case has generated since its inception. So whenever a small case is created, the index value always starts from 100. So suppose if you launch a small case on Monday, the index value will start from 100, and at the week's end, that is on Friday, if the small case value is 102.5, it means that the small case has generated a return of 2.5%. Similarly, this small case was created in March 2014, and since then it has generated a return of 113.57%. So index value quickly tells you or helps you in quickly judging whether the small case has generated positive return since its inception or not. Just below it, you can see the 1 year return. That is, in this case, bringing the bling small case has generated a staggering return of 34.26% in last 1 year. And below it, you can also see the 1 month return. Now let's look at all the things which are at the bottom of the page. The first tab is the past performance. This actually helps you see the historical performance of a small case compared to the broader market benchmark, which is Nifty in this case. So as you can read here also, if you would have invested 100 rupees in this small case 2 years back, it would have converted to 126.87. That is, it has generated a return of 26.87% in last 2 years versus almost no return given by Nifty. Because if you would have invested the same amount of money in Nifty or any ETF which is benchmarked to Nifty, you would have almost generated zero returns. You can also change the time period, that is what has happened in 1 year. So as you can see here, the returns or the value of the 100 rupees if you would have invested it 1 year back. Similarly, you can check the value of 100 rupees if you would have invested it 3 months back. And you can select the period as per your wish. If you want to do a little extra analysis, you can also move along the graph to understand what was the index value at each point in the history. So let's say if we have right now we have selected 1 year, that is 1 year back, which is the 4th March of 2016. If I had invested 100 rupees in a small case and 100 rupees in Nifty, what was the value of that 100 rupees at each of the day, at each of the points in the last 1 year? So as I can see that around 28th of October, the returns that small case generated was 46%. That is, the value of 100 rupees had changed to 146.03%. But as we know that at the beginning of the November, the demonetization was announced, the markets fell, and then it again recovered. So now, as we can see that, like combinedly in last 1 year, it has generated a return of 27.15%. Now let's look at the next tab. Okay, so to check out the stocks and weighing schemes that are there in a small case, you would need to log in to the platform. So now I have logged into the platform using my Kite credentials. And I can see the list of stocks and the corresponding weighing scheme associated with this small case. I can also see the segment composition. That is, all the stocks have been categorized into different segments. For example, you can see Delta Corp. So Delta Corp is a company which operates casino in Goa. So you can also check out the segment that is it is under casino and gaming. Similarly, Mahindra Holidays and Resort is categorized into hotels and resorts. There are 4 real estate companies which are there in this segment. The real estate companies have actually performed very well this week. So these Suntech Reality was up around like 10% yesterday. So all these real estate companies you can see in one particular segment. Now let's quickly understand what do we mean by weight of a stock in a small case also. So you can see that for VIP industries, the weight that has been assigned is 8.33%. It means that if you decide to invest 100 rupees in this small case, 8.33 rupees will go into VIP industries. If you decide to invest 1000 rupees in this small case, 83.3 rupees will go into VIP industries. So weighing scheme actually tells you that the amount of money that you decide to invest in a small case, how much would go into each and every individual stock. Now similarly, you can see that the real estate segment combinedly has a weight of 33.32%. It means that if you decide to invest 100 rupees, 33.32 rupees is going into the real estate companies. And this pie chart helps you quickly analyzing the weighing of different segments that are there in a small case. Now, customize is something which we'll try to cover in the next webinar, so I'll skip it for the time being. The last step here is the recent news that is associated with the small case. So you can check out the news for all the stocks that are there in the small case, or you can also check out the industry news or the business news, which can impact the stocks in this small case and actually have an impact on your performance. So all the news here is arranged in chronological order for your reference. You can click on any of the news to actually go out and check out the detailed article. So these are the basic fields which are associated with any small case. Let's quickly take one more example and understand everything a little better. So we start with the name of the small case, then we have a very brief overview of the small case. In this case, it says that efficiently managed dividend paying companies is screened using Kevin Matra's criteria. Now we can also look at the index value. As I told you that whenever a small case is created, the index always starts from 100. And this small case was launched in January 2017. And as you can see that in last 2 months, it has generated a return of 13.59%. We have also done the historical backtesting, and using that, you can see that in last 1 year, the small case has generated a return of more than 90%. You can also check out the last 1 month's return. If you want to know the detailed rationale behind this small case, you can click here and check out the methodology or the criteria that have been used to create this small case. You can also check out the past performance of this small case and compare it with Nifty and see the value of 100 rupees. Like if you would have invested 100 rupees 2 years back, or if you would have invested 100 rupees 1 year back. As I explained earlier on the stocks and weights tab, you can check out the different segments that are there in a small case. As you can see that 33% of the total money that you will invest in this small case will go into chemicals, 13.3% will go into oil, gas, and consumables, and similarly into other stocks. Now let's understand these two things: minimum investment amount and the type of a small case. Now, by now, we know that every small case has a list of stocks and associated weights with it. Now, when you decide to invest in a small case, ideally, the platform is designed in a way that we ensure the weights that you get after you have invested in a small case is as close as possible to the prescribed weighing scheme, and to ensure that there is always a minimum investment amount that you need to put in a small case. So minimum investment amount tells you the limit which is like the minimum which you have to put in any small case to ensure that you get the optimal weighing scheme or the prescribed weighing scheme for this small case. But you can pick any amount above the minimum investment amount. So in case of this small case, the minimum investment amount is 11,621 rupees. So you can invest any amount above this minimum investment amount. You can decide to invest 12,000 rupees, you can decide to invest 15,000 rupees, you can decide to invest 20,000 rupees. And the reason why we have this minimum investment amount is to ensure that uh, the weights after the investment remains optimal or is as close as possible to the weights that we have prescribed for a small case. Similarly, in case of bringing the blink, the minimum investment amount is 7,487 rupees. This means that you can invest any amount which is above this mark. You can invest 10,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees, as much as you want. But the minimum that you need to invest is this much. Now let's talk about the type. As you can see that the type of this small case is thematic. Actually, let's understand the different types of a small case while we decide to discover or browse through all the small cases that are present on the platform. So on a small case platform, we have three different types. The first is thematic, second is model based, and the third is sector trackers. Thematic means portfolios that reflect a market theme or trend. Uh, Basically, it it covers all the recent developments that you see around you, or all the recent announcement that the government is coming up, or the public institutions have been announcing. For example, in the recent union budget, affordable housing was given an infrastructure status, and we came up with affordable housing in small case. So such small cases will lie under thematic. Similarly, as GST opportunities is small case, or smart cities is small case, or bringing the big small case. All these small cases which are associated with an idea or a trending theme will lie into this category. Now let's just quickly look at all the small cases that are there in the thematic type. As you can see that banking privately, it represents a list of stocks which belong to the private financial sector and are expected to do good in future. Similarly, we have a specialty chemicals, a small case. We have a rising rural demand, a small case. We also highlighted this a small case after the recent financial budget because government announced a lot of soaps related to the rural segments and rural related to the reviving of rural demand. Now let's look at the second type, which is the model based. As we have explained here, these are the strategies based on fundamental and technical criteria and models. Let's select it and understand it using an example. So as you can see, the first is small case. On the top is low accruals. So low accruals is a small case which has growth companies with operating cash flows greater than their net income. So all the model or strategy based small cases are created using a specific set of fundamental or technical criteria. Now these criteria could be like the earning revisions, could be the EPS growth over last 5 years, the EPS growth over last 2 years. In this case, it could be a criteria like cash flow greater than net income. It could be on the basis of dividend yield. It could also be on the basis of expected growth, expected revenue growth in future. It could be a combination of all these criteria. So these are all the examples of fundamental criteria. We can also have technical criteria like, for example, stocks which are having high momentum right now, stocks which lie in that, which are very close to 52-week high. So every small case which belongs to this type represents a combination of these fundamental and technical criteria on the basis of which the stock list has been selected. So as explained in the detailed rationale for this small case, earnings can be manipulated through bad accounting practices, but it's harder to do the same for actual cash. So what this small case does is basically it has taken criteria which are related to operating cash flows and ensure that it selects the companies which are not manipulating their earnings and on the basis of growth in cash flows. Now let's take one more example. Let's look at the bargain buys, which is one of the most popular small cases on our platform. So It's right there. It represents quality stocks at very low valuations. So, as explained in the detailed rationale, that this small case is specifically designed for layman investors and consists of stocks which have strong financial positions and manageable debt, along with the stable earnings. This small case is based on the investment criteria set out by Benjamin Graham, who was considered the father of value investing. So he has set out specific criteria to identify value stocks on the basis of which this small case has been created. Let's quickly take one more example. So this is the PE list, that is the companies with high private equity shareholdings. So the criteria is very clear and it's explained upfront itself. It gives you a list of companies where private equity firms have highest holdings. Now, why this could be a good criteria is explained in the rationale part. You can check it out. And now let's understand the third type, which is the sector trackers. Sector trackers gives you a way to actually invest in a particular sector. Suppose you read somewhere that the petrol prices are going down and you want to invest into auto companies. This is the place where you come. You read somewhere that the government has come up with digitalization of cable television and you want to get some exposure to the media companies. You need to come here. You read that the government has announced minimum support price for steel manufacturers and metal stocks could benefit from it. This is the place where you need to come. You read that GST has been announced, which could be good for FMCG stocks, and you want to invest into FMCG sector. You will find a FMCG tracker here. If you read that Trump has come into the US and he is planning to give relaxation to some foreign pharmaceutical companies, which was the case 2 months back, then you can find a pharma tracker small case here. So basically, this is a very easy and simple simple solution to get exposure to any sector you want to invest in. So we covered three different types. First was thematic, which represents the ideas and changes or experiences that you see on a daily basis around you. And the example that I gave for the same was GST, smart cities, affordable housing, rising rural demand. The second was model-based small cases, that is small cases which are based on a combination of fundamental and technical criterias, or are based on the investment philosophies of celebrated investors. And the stock list represents the same. The third was the sector trackers. That is, if you want to gain exposure or if you want to invest into a particular sector on the basis of any news or recent developments which you could have read or heard from your friends. So now we have covered the first 2 points. The first one was the different parameters of fields that are associated with a small case. Second was the different types that are there for a small case. Now let's come to the third and most important point of today's session of finding a particular small case. So if you have no clue or if you have not read anything and have directly come to our platform to see the list of small cases, what you need to do is you need to click on discover and you would come to this page. Now on this page you can see three different tabs. The first is all small cases, second is by collection, and third is newswire. So let's first look at the collections. Now here, all the small cases have been categorized into different collections, or basically the similar sort of small cases have been presented you in the form of a collection. Like the first collection that you can see at the top is invest with funds. That is small cases based on current portfolio holdings of institutional funds like venture capitals, private equity, and mutual funds. For example, MF Stars, which you can see at the top here, is a small case where mutual funds or the top performing mutual fund schemes are increasing their exposure on a monthly basis. Similarly, VC list is a small case where venture capital firms have very high stock holding. Now, the second collection that you see is the themes or small cases that are related with budget 2017. Uh, as I mentioned earlier, also you can find out affordable housing here. So affordable housing was given infrastructure status in budget 2017. Similarly, government announced a lot of soaps for the rural sector. So that's why you can see a rising rural demand, a small case here. Government also allocated a lot of funds to the Digital India plan that they come up with last year. That's why you see digital inclusion, a small case here. So all the small cases that are related with budget 2017, you can find it here. Now there's if you want to check out the popular small cases on our platform, then you can come and see the popular small case collection here. It is a collection of all the popular small case where our clients or our uh, like our customers are investing their money. If you want to invest into, if you want to find out low cost small cases, then there's a collection for that also. If you find out all the investment strategies, then there's a collection for that also. So basically on the second tab, you can find out a small case categorized into different collections. Let's look at the third tab, that is the newswire. Now this is a very interesting section. Here you can find out all the news related with all the small cases arranged in a chronological order. So for example, let's look at the third news. Total loss in agri sector due to drought is rupees 226 crore. So basically, we just not tell you the positive news associated with your small case. We cover the full spectrum of positive, negative, and all kinds of different news that can have an impact on your small case. So if you are checking out rising rural demand small case, then you can find out all the news which are associated with that small case. So here, what this news or what this section shows that this news hit the platform one day back. The small case associated with this news is rising rural demand, and the impact of this news on this small case, that is the change in the index value of this small case since this news has come into the market, is minus 1.48%. So similarly, you can find out all the news, all the small cases that are related to a particular news. For example, Jindal Stainless gets licensed to produce high nitrogen steel. So you can find out all the small cases which has Jindal Stainless steel stock in it. You can see all the three small cases which got impacted because of this. Now, why I mentioned that this is a very interesting section is because of this search functionality that you see at the top. Now, suppose I want to find out all the news related with demonetization. I type demonetization here and press enter. So I get to see all the news in the chronological order related with related with the demonetization and all the small cases which are associated with this news. And at the same time, I can also see the impact of these news on different small cases. As you can see here, let's look at this news piece. Supporting and boosting consumption, which okay, so this news piece basically highlights all the small cases which got covered in this news and were related with demonetization. And as you can see, there are four small cases. That is the Great Indian Middle Class, Small Case Auto Tracker, and the FMCG Tracker. And you can also see the impact on these small cases or the returns generated by these small cases since this news has hit the market. So in this case, a small case FMCG Tracker has generated a return of 4.02% since this news has come into the market. Similarly, a small case Auto Tracker has given minus 0.52% since this news has come in. Now, let's say you want to find out all the news, all the budget related news. So I just type in budget here and I get all the related news. As you can see here that this news came on 14th Feb 2017. The budget along with GST and other things is actually good for real estate sector. And you can see that the associated small case is the small case reality tracker, and it has given a return of 3.03% since the news has hit the market. At the same time, you can also see news on the different types that we discussed. That is, if you want to check out the news only associated with thematic small cases, you can select this option. If you want to find out news associated with thematic as well as sector trackers, you can select both of them together also. So on Newswire, you can search news specifically for some keywords if you want to do that, or you can just browse through the news in a chronological order to find out which small cases are getting impacted because of the recent news that are coming in the market. Now let's come to the first tab. So here you can see all the small cases which are there on our platform right now. Now, to browse through different small cases, we have provided you an option or different types of filters. So let's say you want to check out the thematic small cases. So you can select the thematic type from here, and you want to arrange these small cases, let's say on the basis of recently rebalanced criteria. So basically, this will give you a collection of small cases which belong to the thematic type and have been recently rebalanced. That is, the order of arrangement of a small case is on the basis of the dates when they got rebalanced. Similarly, I can select popularity. So it will give me a list of thematic small cases arranged in the order of their popularity on the platform. I can also select or I can also arrange these small cases on the basis of returns that they have generated in last 1 year. So as I can see here, all the thematic small cases now have been arranged in the order of returns that they generated in last 1 year. Banking privately is the small case which has generated highest return in last 1 year. That is a return of 62.83%. Now, given that we have gone through the basic filters or options that are available to find your small case. Now let's take different cases and example to understand how you can discover a small case which can fulfill your needs or which is suitable for you. Now suppose you have been reading a lot of newspaper and you find out that the government has recently announced a smart city program. So what you need to do is you need to go to the collection, and you need to go to a collection which has small cases rated with government reforms. So here you can see all the small cases which are rated with government reforms, and you can find the smart city, the small cases which is there. At the same time, if you are someone who firmly believes that the current government is, or the reforms that are proposed by the current government will benefit the economy, then this is the section where you will find the small cases which you might like. So here you will, if you want to see the full list of all the small cases, then you need to click on this. It will give you the list of all the small cases which are associated with the reforms that the government is proposing. At the same time, you can also check out the returns that are associated with the small cases. You want to briefly look at the rationale or the overview behind these small cases, then let's say for rising rural demand, you can just hover on the name of the small case and you will get a brief overview of what you can expect inside the small case. So this collection is basically suitable for anybody who believes that the government reforms will benefit the economy. Now, suppose you are someone who is interested in investing for long term, but at the same time you also want to generate yearly income in the form of dividends and things like that. So we have a collection called dividend and income. Here you will find all the small cases which has the power to give you capital appreciation in long term, but at the same time can fulfill your regular income needs in the form of dividends. Let's take the example of dividend aristocrat. So as you can see here, it represents a select group of companies that have been consistently increasing dividend for last 10 years. So when you invest in this small case, your expectation is that on a yearly basis, the dividends provided by all the companies in this small case will keep on growing. Now we have a small case called dividend stars. It represents the collection of stocks with high dividend yield. So basically, to supplement your regular income needs and at the same time gain long-term capital appreciation, you can invest into small cases which are part of the dividend and income collection. Now, if you want to invest for very long term in the trends and themes which has a potential of becoming huge in future, then we have a collection called long term here. You can check out all the small cases related with or which are part of this collection, and at the same time you can also check out the returns that these small cases have been generating. So if you are a first time user of the platform, then I would suggest that you should start with the collections so that you can quickly find out small cases which might fulfill your need. If you have income needs, if you want to invest into government reforms, if you want to invest into themes related to the budget, and similarly things like that. We keep on updating this section on a regular basis, so that we ensure that all the current trends and themes are always represented here. Now let's say you have decided that you want to invest into some model based small cases, that is the investment strategies, but you want to explore. So how you can do it is that come to all small cases section, go to filter by type and select model based. Now right now all the small cases that you see is the collection of, or this is the full collection of small cases belonging to this type. Now, let's say you also have a budget in mind, that you want to invest in a small case where the minimum investment amount is between 5,000 to 10,000 rupees. So you need to select the second option. So now I can quickly see that this is a list of model-based small cases where the minimum investment amount is between 5,000 to 10,000 rupees. Now I can arrange these small cases on the basis of returns also. So low accruals is a model-based small case with a minimum investment amount between 5K to 10K and has generated the highest return in this category of 72.64%. Now let's say I've decided to invest into thematic small case, but I want to find out the most popular thematic in small case and invest in that. So what I need to do is I need to go to filter by type, select thematic, and then come here and arrange all the small cases in the order of their popularity. So I can see that right now the most popular thematic small case on the platform is affordable housing, which is obvious also because of the recent announcements made by the government in the budget. I can also sort them on the basis of minimum investment amount. So all the thematic small cases now have been arranged on the basis of minimum investment amount. The digital inclusion is the small case with the lowest minimum investment amount in this category of 4,400 rupees. Or let's just say I'm not concerned about the different types of small cases which are available on the platform. I just want to invest an amount of less than 5,000 rupees in the small cases which have been generating good returns. So what I need to do is I go to minimum investment, I select less than 5,000 rupees, I come here, I arrange small cases on the basis of returns that they have generated in last 1 year. So now I can quickly see the list of small cases where the minimum investment amount is very low, that is less than 5,000 rupees, arranged in the order of performance or the returns that they have generated in last 1 year. Uh, At the same time, once you have started using the small case platform, that is when you're the first time user, ideally you should start from collections. Once you have invested in few small cases and you want to select small cases or browse to different small cases on the basis of popularity, returns, minimum investment amount, then you come to all small cases section. And if you want to, in general, keep a tab of the news that is coming into the market and then discover a small case from there, then you need to go to the newswire. That is, if on a daily basis I'm checking newswire, I'll be always aware of the current news that is coming into the platform and can have an impact on different small cases. So if I find out very interesting news here, then I can actually go ahead and invest in that particular small case. Or if you are a very frequent user of our platform, you know the small case that you want to invest in, you can directly come here, which is the search for a small case. Let's say if I want to invest into GST, I just type GST and search. I get all the small cases which are associated with GST. So the first one is the GST opportunity small case, which represents the collection of stocks belonging to unorganized or FMCG sector, which could benefit from the proposed GST proposal. Uh, and then we have Transporting India, which represents the collection of logistics companies which are expected to gain as the GST gets passed. Or let's say I just want to search for smart cities, so I can also do that. I directly can go to this small case from here. So as we covered in our first webinar also, the small case platform helps you align your investments with your philosophy or the beliefs that you have. So that's why we don't recommend which small case you should invest in, or which is the small case which is good to invest right now. But what we have done here is basically we have made the process super convenient and easy to understand for you, so that you can discover the small case which can fulfill your need in the most or in the best possible manner. I guess I've covered all the points that I wanted to talk about in this session. Just to quickly recall, we started with the examples of different types of small cases, or the fields that are associated with different small cases, which can help you understand a small case better. That is, what is an index value? Where do you read rationale? How can you go and read the rationale in details through the learning resource website that we have created for you? How can you check the historical performance using the graphs that we have? You can also check out the weights that are associated with different segments of a small case. Then we covered how you can actually discover a small case. If you are a first time user, you can go to the collections and find out a small case is grouped into various categories, like government reforms or dividend and income or investment strategies. If you want to browse out, if you want to browse in a particular category, you can come to all the small cases. You can specify the type that you want. You can also specify the minimum investment amount that you want. Or if you want to just keep a tab of the news that is hitting the market and invest into small cases which reflect the current trending news or theme, then you need to go to the newswire. So that's it from my side for today's webinar. uh, Nikhil, do you have any questions for me?
Uh, Anugrah, I guess you've covered most of all of our questions, and whatever else you may have missed out has been answered in the live chat. So I guess we're good for this week. So guys, this is the second session in a series of at least 5 videos we'll be doing with a small case. The next one is scheduled for 2 weeks from now. So you guys can tune in. You can check out the schedule on zerodha.com/educate. We've also got a lot of other webinars that we've planned for you. For example, next week we have a webinar from Nitin on taxation and the markets, right? So if you have any questions regarding taxation in this tax season, you can all tune in, ask us questions, and we'll try to answer as many as possible. We're also trying to do as much as possible with respect to new themes that are coming up in the market. So if you have any suggestions as to what we need to cover, then please write to us on social@zerodha.com and we will look at it. Anugrah, any last comments you want to leave our viewers with?
Okay, so till now we have covered the concept of small cases and the process of discovering a small case. In the next webinar, we will be talking about how you can buy and manage all the small cases that we talked about, and how do you track and rebalance them. Uh, I would also like to tell that we're coming up with a new small case on Monday, which is based on a technique called CanSlim, and which has generated exceptional returns when we have checked or when we have modeled the historical performance of the small case. So do check it out, and please feel free to write us back if you have any doubts and questions.
So guys, that's about it. Thank you for tuning in on a Saturday. You guys have been a great audience. If you have any more questions, please write to us on social@zerodha.com. If you have any questions you want Smallcase to answer, you can write to them on support@smallcase.com, and we'll get back in touch with you. Right? Do check out the webinar schedule on zerodha.com/educate, and yeah. So have a nice weekend.